Alrighty,
Thank
thank
you. We have a
you.
quorum.
That'll get us into the Pledge of Allegiance. And this evening we have Cadets Allison Bransfield and Corinne Pelletier with us, I believe. I see Allison.
Hi, could everybody please stand if you're able to while we recite the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
And I'd like to defer back to Mr. Gomez for a moment of silence.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being with us tonight, Allison. So that brings us to our moment of silence. And we would ask that you please keep the following individuals who have passed away in your thoughts and prayers. Evelyn Furtado, grandmother of Laura Castor and Jamie Castor, special education teachers at TMS, and mother of Elizabeth Furtado, paraeducator at Pell. Linda Kingsbury, mother of Lisa Paglarini, a reading teacher at Pell Elementary School. Patricia Langley, mother-in-law of Erica Durant and foreign language teacher, mother-in-law of Erica Duran, foreign language teacher at TMS. Marcelo Lazario, uncle of Gina Coleman, special education paraeducator at TMS. Lois Forsythe, aunt of Thomas Milburn, teacher at Pell Elementary School. And Michelle Pierce Merritt, sister of Newport School Committee Chair Rebecca Bolin. Grant Jolly, husband of Sadie Jolly, teacher at Rogers High School. And Maureen Martin, former secretary to the principal at Rogers High School. If we could have a moment of silence in memory of those that have passed away. Thank you. And that leads us into the next section, which is our student council update. And I see Maggie Cohen with us again this month to bring us up to date.
Hi, I'm Maggie. I'm the president of the student council. I'm going to give you a brief rundown of what's been happening at Rogers. So first thing we have is that the Newport Community School is still offering tutoring every day after school virtually. The class of 23 is doing a fundraiser with the Newport Sweet Shop on April 16th, so you can go buy all the treats you want from the Newport Sweet Shop, and I believe something like 30% of the proceeds goes toward the class of 23. We have May 6th is Say Yes to the Dress, which is a free prom dress drive, so students can come get a prom dress for free and leave with whatever dress they want. We also have that spring sports are starting after break, but we'll give you a rundown of what happened with the most recent sports. So volleyball, we have pretty good record going. They won against Middletown on their senior night on March 18th. They won against Block Island on March 20th as well. They won against Narragansett on March 24th. They won against Westerly on March 26th. They lost to St. Ray's on March 30th, and they won against Central on April 7th. The football team lost to Mount Hope on March 27th. They won against Pilgrim on April 3rd and lost to Westerly on April 9th. And obviously we're going to break next week. Does anyone have any questions?
I do. When did you say that fundraiser was at the Sweet Shop?
April 16th.
Okay, thank you. I missed that when you first said it. Any other questions for Maggie from the school committee? Terrific. Thank you for being with us, as always, Maggie.
Thank you so much.
So that gets us moving right along into our recognition and certificates of achievement. This first one is a holdover from last month, so that all of the nurses could be with us this evening. It's a recognition for the work that they've done. They do all the time, but especially their hard work in the past year with the school's response to COVID and managing the COVID. So I believe I'm deferring, I believe Stephanie, Ms. Winslow is going to read the resolution. I'm not sure if Director Andrade has anything that she'd like to add before, or if we want
I
to
do
do the
have just a
resolution.
quick introduction. Yep.
Okay, go right ahead.
Okay. Hi, I'm Candace Andrade, Director of Student Services for Newport Public Schools, and it's my pleasure to recognize the tremendous work of our school nurse teachers, Carolyn Martin and Maureen Grimes at Pell School, Lisa Butterbow at Thompson Middle School, and Sarah Cloutier at Rogers High School have been an integral part of Newport's ongoing response to the COVID pandemic. Since the beginning, they assisted the administrative team with reviewing the flurry of guidance that was given to us from federal and state agencies. They helped to write our safety protocols and implement them. They have become professional contact tracers, and now they even perform asymptomatic testing for COVID. Their work has extended far beyond the typical workday, often intruding on their nights and weekend time with their families. For all the wonderful work they have done, I would like to thank all of them on behalf of the Newport Public Schools for all of their efforts. You are truly appreciated. Now I would like to turn the microphone back to Stephanie Winslow for the official recognition.
Thank you, Director Andrade. I would like to read the resolution for the Newport Public Schools Nurses Resolution. Whereas the Newport Public Schools and Newport School Committee would like to recognize the outstanding contributions of our school nurse teachers during these unprecedented times of a global pandemic. And whereas nurses Carolyn Martin, Maureen Grimes, Lisa Butterbaugh, and Sarah Cloutier have gone above and beyond their required duties in order to ensure the safety and well-being of school communities. And whereas nurses attended weekly meetings throughout the summer to review current data and state mandates, continuously review safety procedures, and attend meetings with RIDO and CDC. And whereas our nurses have collaborated with school administration to create a district plan and worked with nurses statewide to share information and strategies, secure safety equipment for students and staff. And whereas nurses have provided 24/7 access to administration, staff, students, and families for data review of positive cases, contact tracing, and implementation of safety policy and procedures. And whereas nurses have attended training to provide Binax testing for students and staff while in support of new initiatives like sports, all the way from planning for safety to adding weekly testing for all players. And whereas our nurses have remained positive, upbeat, caring, and calm during the most challenging situations, and therefore be it resolved that Newport School Committee recognizes and appreciates the Herculean efforts of our school nurse teachers for providing a lifeline of support throughout this entire year to our students, staff, families, and administration, doing so with patience, kindness, and understanding at all times.
Yeah, big round of applause.
Congratulations. Thank you.
So I'm not sure if anybody wants to follow up and add some comments, but I will say I probably second to Colleen, I realize the amount of work you all have done, mostly because I get the text shortly after you all do about the latest COVID call that came in from Dr. Germain. So, and I've gotten those, as they said, all the time on the weekends. I've gotten them Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights at 9 o'clock, and Colleen follows up with nurses doing COVID tracing or whatever it might be. So I know you guys have been doing tremendous work, and I have to say thank you. And it's certainly underappreciated, I know, but well-deserved recognition. And I'm not sure if anybody from the school committee wants to follow up with comments or anybody else. Go right ahead, Ms. Boatwright. I see your hand.
Yeah, I would just really like to thank you all because it's, as they've all said, it has been a yeoman's job, and to do 24/7 is an amazing thing. So thank you very much from all of us.
Go right ahead, Ms. Winslow.
I'd like to add a thank you as well. You know, for me, I think I can kind of escape COVID sometimes. I don't have to think about it. I'm healthy. I'm here in my house and safe and sound. But I know the nurses have not been able to stop thinking about it for over a year. I can't imagine the exhaustion. And, you know, to stay calm and answer the same questions over and over and over again, and to be the the source of information for probably everyone in your family and everyone on your block and everybody you see at the grocery store. You know, thank you. I've been wondering, I'm sure I knew we would start seeing these big thank yous, and I'm glad that you guys were the first group to be recognized. So thank you and keep it up. It's not over yet.
Dr. Flowers, go right ahead.
Thank you very much. My heartfelt gratitude to everyone who is always ensuring the health and safety of our young people and the adults who are in charge of them. And we hope that not going to call you the unsung heroes anymore, because we want to sing your praises. So again, thank you so very much for all that you have been doing and continue to do.
And Mr. Dring.
Yeah, there's not much more I can add other than just to say, you know, really do appreciate everything that you've done to keep the schools safe. And I know after vacation, it's probably going to get a little bit more challenging for you. But you are appreciated for sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Go right ahead, Dr. Jermaine.
So I don't know what else I can say, because we've had some really crazy phone calls sometimes and conversations. And I just know that I just appreciate everything you've been doing 24/7. And yes, Mr. Gomes, as soon as you ping me, I ping him and update him on everything you're doing. So he's clearly aware of the long hours you've put in. And not only that, how hard you work to keep everyone informed. And I think Sarah was the one that said, you just feel like you have COVID brain. That's all it is, 24/7 COVID. So I do wish I could send you to Hawaii and send you away, as I've joked with you. I hope you appreciate the flowers. I just didn't, you know, we didn't know what to do, but we do thank you so much for everything you're doing. And the radio interview went well, and you all sounded great. So thank you too for participating in that. And Lisa, we'd love to see you, but we understand you may not be able to come on camera right now. So thank you. Ah, there she is.
All right.
We got you. Thank you. I don't know what we would have done without you. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Certainly welcome the opportunity if any of the nurses would like to say anything. They're welcome to, but not required. So I'm just going to give you a minute. Give me a signal if you'd like to. Otherwise, thank you very much for all you've done.
Thank you, everyone. I'm actually in my master's class right now. I had to kick off that Zoom for this Zoom. So I thought I'd speak first so I can just say thank you and get back.
Thank you. Thank you.
2 more weeks, I graduate almost.
Whoopee.
Right. Thank you.
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the recognition.
All right. Thank you all. Ready. Thank you all. That leads us into the next recognition is student recognition. This evening we have Mr. Young with us, and we're going to recognize our students who were recently recognized for their achievements in the Cyber Patriot competition. In the all division, I think we're welcoming the kids in. So we'll give them a minute to all get loaded up here. And while we're doing that, I don't know if Mr. Young wants to say a few words just to give us what they did, and then we'll mention their names and their recognition.
Sure. I just want to say extremely proud of these of the students. This was a tough year. Normally they get together and they're in the NACTEC building from sun up to sundown. They're in there eating lunch. They're working with the teacher, preparing for this competition. But this year was a lot more difficult with with COVID. We didn't even know if we were going to be able to have the competition. So they persevered and fought through in the four, making the all division. And I can say this is I think it's the third year that we've had the Armed Forces competition, and it's the third year that Newport has won. So I don't want to use the word dynasty yet, but I think we're on our way to that. So, but I see Mr. Hanos is on. I want to turn that over to him so he can really tell you how much how much work these students really put in there. So, Mr. Hanos, you want to take a second?
Yeah, sure. I just got out of the gym here, so I didn't realize I was jumping on here, but I'll say a few words here. So these guys worked so hard. We met virtually throughout the year, and they have come after school like for 4 hours every week, and they've worked on learning about the cybersecurity, even though we didn't have access to the building at the beginning of the year. And it was extremely challenging, like Mr. Young said, but these guys still persevered. Also, and Theo Henson's still on here too, and he also competed in a Cyber Start America challenge, and he just qualified for the final round of that. And he's in a very high echelon, and I can't the numbers. I think he's in like the top 2,000 in the nation or something along those lines. But we're doing really great things. I have to give all the credit to the students. Like, I can give them an opportunity, but these guys took it and ran with it. And I'm extremely proud of how hard they're working and working at their coursework. So I'm getting inundated here with children. So I'm going to turn it back over to Mr. Young.
All right, thank you. So I think they're all on. I think we've got them all on, so I'll just quickly go through and read. So the students recognized for their achievements. The one division is the all division. And there we had Theo Henson, John Gleason, Kalinia Thaxter, and Juliana Cotto.
Kalina Thaxter.
Kalina. Oh, okay. I apologize.
Juliana Koto.
Okay. Thank you. And in the junior ROTC champion in the in the Armed Forces division, as we heard, is Victor Montefusco. Okay. So congratulations to all for representing the school. As they said, I'm sure it was challenging, given everything else to share. And I know the preparation because my son had competed in this in the past. So I know the amount of preparation that goes in a normal year to be successful. So I'm sure it was even greater this year. So thank you to all of you. I'm not sure if anybody else, I see Ms. Boatwright has her hand up. So I'll go to Ms. Boatwright.
I just want to be clear, this is a national competition, right? Just to give a little understanding so people in the audience know really what it is. Could you just give a little bit more on that? Because
yeah, there's different so it is a national competition. However, they were third in our state for their division for this particular for this year. There is a national event also where we've placed in the platinum before, but during this section we were in the states and we got third place, and that was a very respectable finish, and we weren't able to collect all of the students that we had. So we do like the Cyber Start America is a national competition that we do have. Also, it is also a national, and we had a different placement for the national though.
Okay. Just curious. Thank you.
Yep.
Great. Alrighty, I see Miss Winslow. Go right ahead.
I just wanted to congratulate the students, really, regardless of if it's a competition or not. If this is something you enjoy and are thinking of pursuing as a career, I just have to applaud you, because it is a hot industry, and you can go so many places with this. All over the country, anywhere you want to work, you will be in demand, and you'll make us proud. So keep going, don't give up. And this is a huge skill and a huge asset for you in your lives, and I'm super proud of you. Thank you.
Alrighty, thank you all. I'm just looking around the screen here to see if there's any hands. So once again, thank you all. Thank you, the students, for being here tonight and keep up your good work. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you. Great job. Great job.
Mr. Gomes,
Yes.
I just wanted to, I'm going to put in a plug for our assistant principals since this was Assistant Principal Week, and I'm taking advantage of this recognition to just say to Michael Monahan, Nicholas Baccarat, and Catherine McKeon, our assistant principals, they are the backbone of all the schools, and I just want to note that for all of us to remember it's National Assistant Principal Week. So thank you.
Yes, of course. Thank you to them and all they do. And I'm sure they're on here somewhere tonight. I don't see them in front of me, but I'm sure they're here somewhere. So thank you to all of them for the work they do continuously as well. Let's see. That leads us into public comment. And I don't believe, but I'll check with Mrs. Nash if there's anybody signed up for public comment.
We do not have anyone signed up for public comment this evening.
All right. So that will lead us into our action items. The first action item is a simple one to start with. It's simply adding Mr. Dring to the policy subcommittee. So is there a motion from someone to accept the recommendation as made? I see Ms. Winslow, seconded by Dr. Flowers. I'm sure there's no discussion. So if there is any, seeing no discussion, Ms. Nash, you do a roll call vote to approve the request of the subcommittee appointments as presented.
Sure. Mr. Gomes?
Aye.
Ms. Boatright?
Aye.
Mr. Dring?
Aye.
Dr. Flowers?
Aye.
Ms. Winslow?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that leads us into 5.2. 5.2 is a request for approval to adopt and move forward with the curriculum change and certification of the MC3 curriculum. I know I'm not quite sure who is going to give us a little overview of where we're at with this. But this is something I know Dr. Jermaine's been working on and talking with the administrators on.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Gomes. So this is a program, and Mr. Young, I know, is here as well. This is a program targeting really our students that may at one point or another decide they don't want to go on to a four-year college or maybe want to go into the workplace right away. And for our entering senior year, we would like to add on to this program into some of our CTE curriculum so that they'll have the opportunity to participate in the internships as they go to graduate and during their senior year. I have met with the young lady, Casey, and she's willing to come down. Mr. Young has met with her as well. And we see this as an opportunity to help expand some opportunities for our students in our schools. I don't know, Mr. Young, if you want to pick up anything from there.
I just want to add that what she said was right. Sometimes students, they may enter school thinking that they're destined for college, want to go to college or do something else, and then later on, they decide to change their mind. So this is an excellent opportunity for those that have decided late to do something. I gave her a name of one student who was just that. He was in our P-TECH program. He's already earning college credits. But then he got to the end. He says, "You know what, Mr. Young, I don't want to do that. I want to be an electrician. I want to go off and do that." And it fits right in on people like that. So it's a great way to supplement, what our teachers are currently doing.
The other thing is we will look into, one of the things is she's hoping to expand the program down to Aquidneck Island. So more internships will be available here. Right now, presently, a lot of them are off island. So Mr. Young and I have been discussing the transportation, things like that, and how we can also help support our students. So we'll continue to work on this, but we just felt it was important to have another alternative for our students. The process now would be with school committee approval. We would then go before the curriculum committee in May, which is what we do with all our programming, to share with the administration and the teachers and just to make them aware of this add-on we'd like to put into CTE.
Thank you. So I did get into it a little too quickly. So we would need a motion to approve as presented this evening. Ms. Boatwright, I see Ms. Boatwright with a second by Ms. Winslow. So the motion's been made and seconded. Are there any questions from the school committee for Dr. Jermaine or Mr. Young? Ms. Boatwright, go right ahead.
Dr. Jermaine, you just said that there might be opportunities locally. Is there something special you have to do, or is it just if companies want to partner, do they just contact you, or how, or Mr. Young, or how does that work?
That's really Casey, and with the Building Our Futures program, she's working down here to make connections with them on the island.
Okay, good. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sounds exciting.
I do know that the conversation started, and this really was born out of a conversation that Ms. Winslow and I had with some folks from the Building Futures, and it kind of piggybacked on the schools, the schoolwork we'll be doing and the opportunities that our students may have to be exposed to these trades as well during the school building right here. I also know from the presentation that I've seen prior that many students use it that have financial roadblocks to going on to college, actually use this program to go in and work in a field while going to college and using it to fund their college education. So there's many avenues for it to be successful, I know. Dr. Flowers, I see your hand up, and then Ms. Winslow.
Yeah, we speak about the many different pathways for our young people for career success. And we also talk about trying to keep our own here in the city. And this might be a couple of the win-win situations that will come from this. So it sounds like it's a great plan. Good for going after it, and will enlarge the list of community partners.
Yes, hopefully. Ms. Winslow.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, as Mr. Gomes said, that I've seen the presentation by Building Futures and Build Rhode Island and the various groups that do this pre-apprenticeship program, and I thought it was fascinating. And I know I'm not a teacher, and I'm not a CTE teacher, and I'm not a tradesperson. So, if there are questions or ideas you guys have to make it even better or adapt it to us, I'm all ears. But I was blown away by the work they're doing, and I'm really glad that you're considering, taking it into Newport, because it sounds like a great opportunity.
Oh, trying to unmute Mr. Drang.
I agree. It looks like a great program. My question, and I know Mr. Leary's not here. Is there a cost to this? And I did see where it's $100 per student senior year. I assume that's to the student. Is there any extra cost to the city?
The $100 per year, I will say, Mr. Drang, most likely it will be the district that will look into that and start the financing for that, as we do for other programs for our students. Most of the time, through Mr. Young as the CTE director, we look at grant funding for that, but that's where it is right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Alrighty. Don't think I see any other questions or comments. So, Mrs. Nash, if we could do a roll call vote to approve the addition of the curriculum as presented.
Yes, Mr. Gomes?
Aye.
Mrs. Boland? I'm sorry, absent. Mrs. Boatwright?
Aye.
Mr. Dring?
Aye.
Dr. Flowers?
Aye.
And Ms. Winslow?
Aye.
Thank you, 5-0.
Terrific. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Young, for being with us and answering the questions. 5.3 is a request for approval of the school year 2021-2022 school calendar as presented by Dr. Jermaine. Is there a motion to approve the calendar as presented? I see Dr. Flowers, seconded by Ms. Boatwright. Dr. Jermaine, if you want to give us a little overview or any points or
Sure.
highlights, lowlights.
Okay. So the calendar is in front of you this evening. We have been going through multiple drafts. We tried to align our calendars for those of you that are new. We tried to align them to what the other districts on the island are doing, as well as Tiverton, the East Bay districts, especially for the children that are in CTE or participate in CCRI programming, things like that. This year, we have our professional development days for our teachers are on the 1st and 2nd of the year of this school year. By their CBA contract, they do not start coming back to school until September. We will be starting the first day of school for children on Wednesday, September 8th. Tuesday, September 7th is Rosh Hashanah. And we did not, and that's the most holiest of the Jewish holidays. So we will be starting school on Wednesday for students. We also have in the calendar, which may change, we have 2 state PD days. This is not a state calendar, but the commissioner did come out with a statewide calendar that really did not align to what Newport and what the East Bay districts really had in mind for next year. So those dates are included in this calendar, but they may change. And what that means is those 2 days are distance learning days as of now. And after further discussion with the principals and our teachers, if we find that we won't be needing those days, they would just be in-person days. But for now, they're DL days. And I believe one is on March 14th and one is on May 11th.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Dr. Jermaine from the school committee? I don't see any. Mr. Dren.
Yeah, Dr. Jermaine, I just want to say how happy I am to see the winter vacation on there again. That's one of the best vacations. I know my kids, a lot of kids go skiing and everybody looks forward to it. And I believe that's also Winterfest week. So there's a lot of stuff that the kids are doing, Terrence. So I was happy to see that again.
Well, good, because I have to tell you, that's a toughie. I get both sides on that one. And this year we went back to the full week, aligning it with the other school districts on the island.
Well, we won't have any more snow days, so the date won't change. I mean, the beauty of the calendar is we'll be getting out. We won't be going until 4th of July anymore with snow days. So any other questions? Yeah. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none. Ms. Nash, could you do a roll call vote to approve the calendar as presented this evening?
Sure. Mr. Gomes?
Aye.
Ms. Boatwright?
Aye.
Mr. Dring?
Aye.
Dr. Flowers?
Aye.
And Ms. Winslow?
Aye.
Thank you. 5-0.
The next item, thank you. The next item up is 5.4. This is request for approval of administrative contract template. This is for consideration and approval as presented. If approved, the template would be used for new administrators going forward. This is born out of a way to keep the flow for administrative contracts going in light kind of piggybacks to the new ride regulations and having to say, the school committee kind of give a template for what's important and what they'd like to see in the contract. So is there a motion to approve the template as presented? I see Ms. Boatwright, seconded by Dr. Flowers. And I'm not quite sure the easiest thing is probably, are there any questions for Dr. Jermaine on this or comments that we could? I'm not seeing any. Alrighty, so Mr. Nash, if you could do a roll call vote to approve the administrative contract template as presented.
Mr. Gomes?
Aye.
Ms. Boatwright?
Aye.
Mr. Dring?
Aye.
Dr. Flowers?
Aye.
Ms. Winslow?
Aye.
5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Let's see, we're going down. 5.5 is request for approval of agreement between Rogers High School and the College Advising Corps. Mr. Vance recommends approval of the intention to partner with College Advising Corps for the 2021-2022 school year. A memorandum of agreement will follow. The cost for fiscal year 2022 remains the same as fiscal year 2021, $17,500. Funds to continue this work are included in the fiscal 2022 budget. The College Advising Corps was able to readily shift to a virtual advising model, and student engagement continued throughout the pandemic. Is there a motion to approve the recommendation as presented? I see Dr. Flowers, seconded by Ms. Winslow. And Mr. Vance, I'll let you just give us a little overview or the highlights or anything important to consider, if you don't mind.
So I apologize. I'm going back and forth between two meetings. I'm on the team meeting right now as well. So the college advisor, like the highlights is she collaborates with our rising juniors and our seniors in their senior year, at the end of their junior year, as they prepare for college. They start to explore different college options. They start looking at different ways to fund going to college. She works with our families to get the FAFSA forms completed, which is something that we're kind of rated against statewide with how high the rate of FAFSA form completion is. She will bring in college reps and set up virtual meetings to allow kids to get information from colleges and universities. Over the last 4 years, in my experience, we've had 2 advisors in that role that have just been tremendous in helping our students access college and beyond. So I think it's an invaluable program and an asset to have in the high school.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Ms. Boatwright.
Just because I don't know how this works, do they work with guidance counselors as well, or do they, starting in junior and senior year, take over that whole thing?
Yeah, they're working with the guidance counselors all the way along.
Good. Okay. Just want to make sure continuity. Thank you.
I know this is one of the bright college prep things. I think all parents, I hear nothing but favorable. I mean, this personnel that we've had doing it have been outstanding in the recent years, and you do hear a lot of compliments from parents and families that it's really helpful. And I've heard a lot of parents say that their kids actually got into college because of the work that the college planners did with them. So that's a good thing. So any other questions, comments, or input, Ms. Winslow?
This is a rotating position, right? Doesn't it change is it every year? I think you get a new advisor. Or
It's every 2 years.
every 2 years, okay. Is there ever a possibility to extend somebody who's really made a great impact, or is it 2 years and that's the maximum?
It's 2 years and that's the max.
To recruit them.
Well, I think, don't they come out of I think Dr. Main's going to say, I think they come out of, these students are part of a master or a doctoral program, and they work. It's like graduate work in college. This is their graduate work as they prepare. So
yes, exactly. They go on to earn their doctorate, or they do an internship at a higher level. Yes, it's part of their work.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Not seeing any. Ms. Nash, if you could do a roll call vote to approve the request as presented this evening.
Mr. Gomes?
Aye.
Ms. Boatwright?
Aye.
Mr. Dring?
Aye.
Dr. Flowers?
Aye.
Ms. Winslow?
Aye.
Thank you. 5-0.
Thank you. The next item on the request is a action item. It's a request for students to return to school in person 5 days per week after the April vacation. This is sponsored by Mr. Leary. I know his hope was to have the superintendent develop a plan to get our students back in person full time. I'll call the normal normal school as we knew it a year ago. In Mr. Leary's absence, my question would be, I think the motion would be, would it be to approve its Is that a plan that's with it? I mean, I'm just looking for, I know there's some backup with this, but I think it's more information that came out of the town hall meeting you had.
Ms. Winslow has her hand.
Oh, go ahead, Ms. Winslow. Sorry, I didn't see you.
I don't know, have we made a motion to approve this recommendation yet, or can I?
So we could make I'm looking for the motion. I'm not sure if the motion is to, if a plan is going to come out of this, or if the motion is simply to vote to return to in-person 5 days per week after April vacation. If that's a motion.
Well, I was just going to suggest that, I mean, I'm very much in favor of getting the kids back as much as possible, but I don't want to make like a put the cart before the horse decision. And if we can make the motion to direct the superintendent to develop a plan that returns the students to school like the maximum possible, because we still do have CDC guidelines. 6 feet is still a requirement in the upper levels and in some places. According to the website I read today, like in the cafeteria, things like that. Anywhere where there's a large group, you still have to, I trust that you guys are gonna do it, but I don't wanna pick an arbitrary date and just say 5 days a week. I'd like you to phase it. So if we could adopt, create a motion in that sense.
So I see Dr. Jermaine, go right ahead, and then whoever else would like to, now I'll go to Dr. Flowers, but Dr. Jermaine, go right ahead.
All right, so Mr. Leary did put this on the docket. I did on the agenda. I have not had a conversation with him regarding this, but I have been sharing with the committee as well as with the community what the plan is. At Pell, they've been at 5 days a week, and they're bringing back more students. They have already walked through the classrooms. Seating can now be reduced to 3 feet between desks, and between pods, like in the cafeteria, instead of 14 feet, it is now 7 feet. Our principals have been working on that at Pell and Thompson, where the students do go into the cafeteria for meals. The Thompson team has been and will be after April vacation. They'll be in classes from Tuesday to Friday. This is being worked out, and they're actually trying to set up a distance learning section amongst the clusters, so that if they do have students, because we are allowing families to still stay on distance learning if they request it for the rest of the year. So they will still be teaching distance learning at all levels for those who still want it. And we'll still have a distance learning section for our families at the middle school level. At the high school level, they have been all along doing in-person and on the camera teaching. And that will continue. I believe Mr. Vance said that'll be 4 days a week. They will be doing that Tuesday through Friday. The middle school right now could not be able to go to 5 days a week because we are still in the middle of state testing. And state testing, all students, distance learning students must take it as well. Grades 3 through 8 must go into the buildings to take the tests. On Mondays for Pell, for some grade 3 and grade 4 classrooms, those students have to go to distance learning so that the distance learning students can come in and actually take the test. So that's what they're doing on Mondays at Pell. And they will still need to continue that at Pell for some grade levels. In Thompson, all grade 5 through 8, they were not coming into the building anyways on that day. We had a Tuesday through Friday schedule. Those students will continue with the distance learning testing on Mondays at Thompson, I believe for the next 3 weeks at least. The overall plan is to get as many students into classes that wish to return as full-time as possible that we can do. So for the first 3 weeks, we will monitor and see how we do with more students in the building. We will not be changing the time. for any of the levels at this time, because we want to see and watch what happens when we start to bring back more students. As we have mentioned, and as I mentioned today, I was on What's Up today with Ryan Belmore. I mentioned that we have been seeing some increase in cases. We do need to remain vigilant, and we will need to watch very carefully when we come back from April vacation, how we do. We're hoping with the more people being vaccinated, we won't have as many cases when we come back, but there's still that still can happen. We also know that 16 years and above will be able and eligible for the vaccines, I believe, and I think maybe on April 19th. It's pretty soon. The governor's going to be announcing that. So we're hoping that helps us as well. So we will monitor the situation. After those couple of weeks, I'll go back to the principals and meet with them and speak to them about how they feel going forward they'll be able to do. I do know the high school has already taken, I'll say, a temperature check on this. And I believe the high school staff has already mentioned that they believe right now staying with the Tuesday through Friday is the best option for the high school. So the bottom line is we're bringing back everyone and anyone that wants to come back. We're going to be going 4 days a week. The hybrid model is gone after April vacation. Tuesday through Friday, students will be expected to be in school. When they do, and if they are a close contact and they do have to go on DL, we are trying to set up alternative ways in which they can be taught while they are on quarantine. That has changed too for the public. Newport has been following the gold standard of 14 days for quarantine. We will be switching to 10 days after April vacation. On day 7, if someone gets a negative test, they can bring that negative test in and return to school, but they have to wait until day 7 to get a test. And so that's another change we've made. Our athletes will continue to be tested. And as we stated earlier, the nurse is doing a fantastic job, and they've all been trained in Binax testing. So if we need to do any other kind of testing, we will do that. I was contacted today. This is new news, literally right before getting on to this meeting, that there is a group that's trying to set up a vaccine clinic at Pell within the next week or two for our people in the North End. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we'll have a vaccine clinic running soon, supported by, I believe it's East Bay. My brain right now is mashed potatoes. It's Christina Ruth's group and the East Bay group. So they're going to come and they're going to help us with that.
EBCAP?
EBCAP. Thank you very much. EBCAP. There you go. You are telling me the acronyms now.
That's scary.
I know.
Miss Winslow, and then Dr. Flowers. I see both of you with your hands up. So Miss Winslow.
I was just curious, how many families do you think you've been able to reach just to talk about maybe concerns or I think, one of the things you mentioned in the town hall is that people have routines now. And a lot of the high school students, maybe they've got a job going or they enjoy the distance learning thing. And I know we got some survey results back, but do you feel that you've reached at least a majority of the district and have a good sense of what the families want?
I think overall we do, but the people that really know well are the building principals. And I know they've been reaching out individually to families, as well as following up with any concerns or questions. And as they have been doing during the entire school year, they have been meeting any needs that any of the families do have. And if a case in point is, we had some families in the beginning when we were on the hybrid, I know at the high school, Mr. Vance and Mr. Monahan were very accommodating and brought those students in 4 days a week as quickly as possible. I know Director Andrade, with the skills and some of our other special programs, she reached out to families with her teachers, and we got those students in more days before anyone said you need to bring more students in more days per week. We've been doing that Principal Westman and Dr. Bean at Thompson and Pell have been doing the same as well. So I have encouraged families, if they do, because they are in routines and it's for 8 more weeks, it's 1 more quarter of the school year. I have recommended they reach out to the building principals, and so far, I think everyone's needs have been met so far.
Dr. Flowers? If Miss Winslow, did that answer your question? Okay. Dr. Flowers?
Yeah, I think if we're serious when we say that our top priority is the health and safety of the students and all the adults who work with them. And that's the prime thing. And again, you know, for how many years we say, if your child is sick, keep him or her home. Well, we don't want the youngsters to, or anyone else to be ill either. And bring them back in if we say we're going to force an issue and say, come back in, knowing that there are some of the young ones who have weakened immune systems, they might have some other underlying conditions where the distance learning is a real gift for them because they can, you know, get on and be part of the class, even if it is remote. So I think the plan, as Dr. Germain has presented it, understanding that flexibility is the key word in everything. It sounds as though it should work. It should work because we're always tweaking things anyway. I think this is not as much as accepting or forcing the issue or voting on this, but to say, you know, we can say we accept Dr. Germain's report of what the plans are in the post-spring break activity. I think just accepting rather than voting on it would be the key action here, I believe. Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Dring, are you? I wasn't sure if your hand looked like it was coming up.
I'm sorry.
So.
I do have a question. I don't know why my mute button keeps popping up even when it's not muted. I do have a question for Dr. Germain. I know you and I have talked about it. I mean, as a parent of kids in the system, I am getting a lot of calls and emails and messages. And, you know, the questions are, you know, why is Middletown and Portsmouth going back 5 days a week? And why aren't we, or why isn't the high school going back 5 days a week? I know you talked about it, but I just want to ask you again, if you could just clarify what the reasoning is behind that, if they're going back and we're not.
No, Portsmouth is not going back 5 days a week. They're going back Tuesday through Friday. I have confirmed that with their superintendent. And Middletown, I'm not sure of. I don't know if they've made the final decision, I'll say on that one.
Yeah, well, I know it's an evolving process for sure, but I did hear today that Middletown was going back 5 days.
Right, so we will see. As I said, I will speak with my building principals and we'll look at our schedules and we'll do our best.
Ms. Winslow.
I just wanted to share that I heard a comment, at least about the high school. You've got, I think your schedule on Mondays is all 8 periods. And so one of the concerns was, you know, if there's a positive case on a Monday, you're going to take out 8 teachers and 8 classes. And I mean, it's a big impact. So it makes more sense to at least start our first phase, I guess, of just the Tuesday through Friday and have Mondays remain distance learning and you know, see if we keep things under control for the next few weeks. That's a comment I heard, and I don't know if that's accurate or not still.
I'm glad Mr. Vance is still here because I believe he knows it better. I believe you are correct. That is what happens on Mondays, but I'll let Mr. Vance take this one.
Yeah, Mondays, we run all 8 periods on Mondays so that teachers can meet with their kids. And if, you know, we're in the building, you're exactly right. If we had a positive case travel throughout the day, you're now taking down 8 teachers who all in turn teach 5 classes. So you're basically one student could wipe out the whole building pretty quickly. You know, so it's, I think staying asynchronous on Mondays, at least for now, is smart until things get better.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alrighty. Any other questions or comments? We'll just leave that as it sits for now, and we'll move on. 5.7 is request for, am I in the, yes, 5.7 is request for approval of agreement between Newport Public Schools and Custom Computing for E-rate basic maintenance and professional services. Mr. Gonzalez recommends approval of the E-rate basic maintenance contract to be awarded to Custom Computing Services for the period July 1, 2021 through July 30th, 2022 as presented. Is there a motion to approve the contract as presented? I see Ms. Winslow, Ms. Boatwright, I'm sorry, seconded by Dr. Flowers. And Mr. Gonzalez, if you wanted to just give us a little high points or overview of this. And
thank you. Good evening, school committee members. E-rate is a benefit that the federal government provides local education agencies with internet service and basic maintenance services for internet distribution in our district. So annually, our basic maintenance goes out through an RFP process, as I described in the memo. This is just for a 1-year contract extension with CCS for basic maintenance services next school year. That's it.
And I'm going to ask you, Mr. Dring might do it, but I'll beat him to it. And Mr. Leary's, is there a cost associated with this? I see a couple there. I just wouldn't want to say the wrong number.
Yes, sir. Annual cost for next, I'm sorry. I'm in the contract sliding through the PDF. Oh, 74,000 annual contract for $74,880. And 20% of this will be covered through E-rate or paid by the federal government.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the school committee on the contract for anybody or comments? Ms. Winslow?
Does this cover the help desk, the Spanish and English help desk, this contract? Can't remember. And
Not this particular contract. There are a bunch of arms in the IT world that are compartmentalized. Yes, this is unique to the system itself and access to our systems with our devices.
Okay, thanks. I know there's a lot, and I like that we've been doing the help desk, the bilingual help desk, and so I just wanted to make sure that we continue, but that's a discussion for another day. Thank you.
Those services are not E-rate eligible either.
Any other questions or comments? I don't think I see any. So, Mr. Nash, if you could do a roll call vote to approve the contract as presented for E-rate services for the 21-22 school year.
Mr. Gomes?
Aye.
Ms. Boatwright?
Aye.
Mr. Dring?
Aye.
Dr. Flowers?
Aye.
Ms. Winslow? Ms. Winslow?
Aye.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. 5-0.
Thank you all. Next item, 5.8 is a request for approval of the agreement between Newport Public Schools and CTC Building Solutions. Director Young recommends approval of a 1-year support level agreement with CTC Building Solutions for technical support and service as presented. CTC was awarded the contract to upgrade building control systems in all of the school buildings, and the agreement will provide associated support and services for the system. Funding for this contract is included in the fiscal year 2022 operating budget. Is there a motion to approve the contract as presented? I see Mr. Drang, seconded by Ms. Winslow. And I know Mr. Young popped on. If he wants to give us a quick overview of this, that'd be great.
Sure. So back in the fall, CTC was awarded the contract to install the monitoring software for all the schools. So now what we're doing is we're going to have a contract with them where they'll provide training, they'll provide assistance if needed to any of us who need it. So that's facility engineers, myself, or anyone. If there's anything that's not going right with the system, they'll come out and either fix it virtually or they'll come in person and do it. They'll also provide training for our folks. So if they need some refresher training, how to monitor. So for example, I had about 3 hours worth of training last week on some of the systems on that piece as part of this contract. So it's just, they won the bid back in the fall to install, and now this contract will just help us maintain the system.
Thank you. Are there any questions from school committee members on the contract? I think I'll do, I just scrolling down as you were talking, I'm just going to get, I think there is a overall number, correct? Or is it an hourly contract?
It's an overall number. And then if we were to go over that, then it'd be an hourly rate, but it's an overall.
I know, I'm just trying to find that because I know Mr. Leary would want us to.
5,400.
5,400, yep, annually.
Thank you.
I mean, semi-annually, yes.
Yeah.
Semi-annually, so 10,800 for the year.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
If we get to the point where we haven't used all the hours, they'll come in, they'll provide additional training for additional folks in the building or something like that. But it's a really good contract.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Young on the contract from the school committee? I am not seeing any. So Mrs. Nash, could you do a roll call vote to approve the contract as presented this evening?
Mr. Gomes?
Aye.
Mrs. Boatright?
Aye.
Mr. Dring?
Aye.
Dr. Flowers?
Aye.
Ms. Winslow?
Aye.
Thank you. 5-0.
Thank you. The next item is 5.9. This is a request to award bid number 21-017 school and cemetery mowing to Earthworks Landscaping. Is there a motion to approve the contract as presented this evening? Ms. Winslow, seconded by Dr. Flowers. And again, it's self-explanatory, but Mr. Young, if you could give us a quick overview, that'd be great.
Sure. So the city put this out to bid. They approved Earthworks and recommended we do the same. They've done it in the past, so they're familiar with it. Very little, if any, issues with that company. And so I worked directly with the city. Like I said, last month they approved it. So this month, we're putting this forward for us.
And just the name's a little misleading. It's a dual contract for the cemetery, cutting of the grass in the cemeteries and the schools.
Right.
And I believe our portion is $43,125 for the year.
It's the lowest bid. And yeah, our part is just for the schools.
Correct. So any questions for Mr. Young on the grass cutting contract for the schools? Not seeing any. Mrs. Nash, if you could do a roll call vote to approve the contract for grass cutting as presented.
Mr. Gomes?
Aye.
Ms. Boatright?
Aye.
Mr. Dring?
Aye.
Dr. Flowers?
Aye.
Ms. Winslow?
Aye.
Thank you. 5-0.
There we go. Thank you very much. That moves us on to 5.10. That's a request for approval of policy 4100, human resources, administrative lines of responsibility. Is there a motion to approve the policy as presented? Ms. Boatright, seconded by Ms. Winslow. Dr. Flowers is the chair of the policy subcommittee. I'll let you give us a little highlighted view of any changes or the policy.
Sure enough. We have been working for quite some time now on the human resources in the 4,000 section of the policy manual because of various changes are reflective of changes on the state level. The 4100 is administrative lines of responsibility. Everyone on the committee had the opportunity to look at this and just see that as we go down on the first page, under number 6, the change is that each employee in the school system shall be responsible to the building principal or director and through them to the superintendent. So this is part of the change of the chain of command, so to speak, that the immediate supervisory person is the one that the school employees are responsible to. And that's the only change on that particular one. We'll just go one at a time on this.
Yeah.
And by the way, when we went through these, when we worked in the full subcommittee, Attorney Galvin was present, so we've taken that step already.
Yes, and I know Mr. Galvin is with us. He's on the phone tonight rather than by Zoom, but he is here as well if there's any questions on any of these. But are there any questions for members of the policy committee or anybody on policy 4100? All righty, seeing none, Mr. Nash, could you do a roll call vote to approve policy 4100, human resources administrative lines of responsibility on the first reading this evening?
Mr. Gomes?
Aye.
Ms. Boatright?
Aye.
Mr. Dring?
Aye.
Dr. Flowers?
Aye.
Ms. Winslow?
Aye.
Thank you. 5-0.
Terrific, thank you all. Next, 511, request for approval of policy 4150, human resources administrative organization. Is there a motion to approve as presented this evening? I see Ms. Winslow with the motion, seconded by Ms. Boatright. And again, Dr. Flowers, if you want to.
Thank you. I also want to remind everyone, this is the first reading. We have a second reading at the next regular school committee meeting. That's the practice. Administrative organization, if we go into the third paragraph, when it talks about if any questions arise, when legal questions arise concerning school committee actions and responsibilities, the chairperson of the school committee shall seek the advice and counsel of an attorney or law firm retained for such purpose, which of course we already have. The rest of that particular policy remains intact. That's the
Very
only
good.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns, members of the school committee? Ms. Boatright.
So just want to understand this. So when people from the school committee are no longer are supposed to reach out to legal advice individually, that should all go through the chair. Is that what this is saying?
That's the intent of this. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to have that out there in public. Thank you.
Thank you.
When it comes to contacting the attorney. Yeah.
Alrighty, any other questions, comments, concerns? Not seeing any. Mr. Nash, could you do a roll call vote to approve Policy 4150, Newport Public Schools Human Resources Administrative Organization policy on the first reading this evening.
Mr. Gomes,
Aye.
Ms. Boatright,
Aye.
Mr. Dring,
Aye.
Dr. Flowers,
Aye.
and Ms. Winslow.
Aye.
5-0. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, you're on mute.
Thank you. That moves us to 5.12, request for approval of policy 4300, Human Resources Administrative Team. Is there a motion to approve this policy as presented this evening?
So
Mr. Dring, seconded by Ms. Winslow, and Dr. Flowers, if you'd like to
Sure.
give a
This
brief.
is a very tiny one. It's the, it addresses the administrators meeting on a regular basis for discussing issues that come up in the running of the school department. And this very long sentence was abbreviated. Meetings shall be held as directed by the superintendent, period. That was it. It took out some other extraneous information here. That's it.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns from the school committee? Not seeing any. Ms. Nash, could you do a roll call vote to approve the policy as presented this evening, policy 4300, Human Resources Administrative Team on the first reading?
Mr. Gomes,
Aye.
Ms. Boatright,
Aye.
Mr. Dring,
Aye.
Dr. Flowers,
Aye.
Ms. Winslow.
Aye.
Thank you. 5-0.
Very good. Moves us, thank you, Dr. Flowers, for that. Next item is 5.13. It's request for approval of contract with the New England School Development Council for middle school principal search consulting services. This is born out of our discussion in the past couple of months to have some advice and guidance on the hiring of the next Thompson Middle School principal. Is there a motion to approve the contract as presented this evening? Motion by Dr. Flowers, second by Ms. Winslow. Dr. Jermaine, if you want to.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a contract with NESDEC to provide us with a professional consultant to help Director McAndrews, HR Director McAndrews, with the very important Thompson Middle School search process. We have focus groups going on, then we'll have screening committee, and then on top, after the screening committee, we'll have interviews, and then after interviews, we'll have final interviews. We're hoping by the end of May to be able to announce a new leader for the Thompson Middle School. So we felt it was important for this very important role to have someone help Director McAndrews, as well as help oversee the entire process.
Thank you. And I believe the cost of the contract, if I'm not mistaken, is $1,260, correct?
That is correct. That is the fixed fee. And if any additional services would be $125 per consultant hour if we went above and beyond that.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the contract from school committee members? I am not seeing any. So Ms. Nash, could you do a roll call vote to approve the contract with the New England School Development Council for services, assistance and service in selecting the next Thompson Middle School principal?
Mr. Gomes,
Aye.
Ms. Boatright,
Aye.
Mr. Dring,
Aye.
Dr. Flowers,
Aye.
Ms. Winslow.
Aye.
5-0. Thank you.
And I'd like to, at this time, Mr. Chair, to thank Ms. Winslow. I know everyone's really, really busy, but she did volunteer from the school committee to help us through this process, and I appreciate that. And Director McAndrews, many hours of work she's putting in on this project, so thank you.
Yes, thank you to all for your work on this, and hopefully it'll lead to a good conclusion in about a month. So that leads us into, that concludes our our agenda item, our action items, moves us into our, Ms. Winslow, go right ahead.
A point of order, I guess. We didn't take a vote on the item 5.6. We heard the plan, but did we want to accept it?
So if we just, I wasn't sure that a motion came out of the conversation. I'm happy to revisit 5.6. If there's a motion out of the discussion, we can certainly entertain it, but a motion was never really made, so.
I think
I mean, we could make a motion to support the superintendent's plan to send the kids back 4 days a week.
Perfect.
Yeah.
As a sign of support.
Yeah, no problem. That's great idea. So the motion would be to support the superintendent's plan of returning to in-person learning 4 days per week after April vacation.
But, excuse me, but there's 5 days a week at Pell through grade 5. So it's 5 days pre-K to 5 and then 4 days for the others.
Pre-K to 4.
I'll try
Thank
that
you.
one more time. So here we go.
What the superintendent's plan?
Thank you.
Superintendent's plan. There we go. We'll leave it at that. We'll approve the superintendent's plan to return to in-person learning after April vacation.
Yeah.
Made by Mr. Drink, seconded by Dr. Flowers. And we've had plenty of discussion, so I doubt there's any more. Mr. Nash, if you could do a roll call vote to approve the motion as made.
It's been made.
And seconded.
Yes.
Mr. Gomes?
Aye.
Ms. Boatright?
Aye.
Mr. Dring?
Aye.
Dr. Flowers?
Aye.
Ms. Winslow?
Aye.
Thank you. 5-0.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dring.
That concludes the action
And
items.
Ms. Win.
Concludes the action items, moves us into our discussion items. First item on the discussion is 6.1, School Building Committee update. And for that, I will turn over to Co-Chair, Ms. Boatright.
Yes, I want to just start before we have our OPM give us a little update. I want to just thank the 22-person school building committee that has worked very well with Downs Construction, our OPM. We have now hired all of the 4 major players, our design build team, which is Bean Brothers and Studio Jade for the Pell expansion, and then Slam as the architect for Rogers and Gilbane as the construction manager at risk. So they are just coming on board. They will be doing the the design work, pre-construction and then construction. So Kyle Lentini and Joe DeSanti are going to give us the update, okay, as to where we're at.
Thank you, Ms. Boatright. Kathy, can I share my screen, please?
Sure. Give me 1 second.
Okay, I've got an update for the Rogers High School and the Pell Elementary School construction projects. Starting off with Rogers, we have the update and critical activities for pre-construction and design team meetings. Those are ongoing. We're going to be introducing our Gilbane team this week on Friday. We have a kickoff meeting. So I thought it'd be a good idea to have everybody's face on the screen for you guys to kind of put a face to who you hired here and who will be working with us through the project. So this is our Gilbane team, construction manager. So programming verification meetings, SLAM is holding these detailed programming verification meetings with all of the departments of the high school, including the administration staff and the teachers. These meetings started last week and will continue through this week. They will be wrapped up this week. So those are ongoing. For the commissioning agent at Rogers, that's our next professional service to hire. So that RFQ is going to be going out on April 26th with a response due back on May 11th, and then a recommendation presented to the school building committee on May 24th. For the neighborhood meetings and community meetings, we have a good neighbor neighborhood meeting scheduled for May 3rd for Rogers High School. And then the community meeting is going to be the next night, which will be a combined meeting for Rogers and Pell. And we just want to reiterate that all the school committee members are more than welcome to attend these meetings. Let's see, moving on to Pell. Again, we have pre-construction and OAC meetings that are ongoing weekly with our design build team. Within the next few weeks, we're going to be diving into the addition in the rooms wall by wall and reviewing those spaces with the administration staff and teachers to really define the use of those spaces and what may be needed as far as millwork, technology, whiteboards, that kind of thing. So those are ongoing. Retro commissioning of the existing buildings. So we had a kickoff meeting on Friday with National Grid and their consultant to determine what they need to do to get this process moving and what information they may need. So they're going to be getting remote access to the building monitoring system, which is from CTC, which we heard earlier. So they'll be able to review the trending data that's all logged in from all the MEP systems, the mechanical, electrical, plumbing systems. And they may be able to identify some underlying issues. Obviously, people have experienced the issues and know the issues at the school, but there may be some underlying things we can also figure out there from the numbers. So they've also been provided with the construction drawings from the original build. So they'll be reviewing those for the installed systems. And then the next step for them is going to be getting that remote access and then a site walk for National Grid and the consultant to come on site and review the school itself, and then we can work on a scope of work from there. So for the commissioning agent, for Pell, that RFQ was due, the responses were due on April 6th. We did receive 2 responses. We went out to the master pricing agreement contractors. So we got 2 responses to that. Those responses are being reviewed currently, and we are shooting for a recommendation to the SBC on April 26th. For traffic options, again, those were ongoing, but we've reviewed all the options and gone through the gamut, and the general consensus is to be moving forward with the hybrid recommendation, which I'll put on the screen now. So this includes a bus loop here on the west side with left turn only out of the loop. We've got signage on either end of Dexter Street. And then this yellow line here is going to represent a parent drop-off queuing line. And just to put this out there, this is not final. You know, this is right now the best options we've come across. It may be tweaked slightly here and there. So what you're seeing is not set in stone, but this is the best option we have right now. And it seems like how we're going to be moving forward through the schematic design phase. So some additional notes here is there's additional parking at this north lot. And then there's a road at the very top here that will connect the east and west lots and provide a means of egress through here and for the queuing line. Going on to the neighborhood meetings, we did have a good neighbor meeting for Pell on April 5th, which was last Monday. It was well attended, and the information that was shared regarding the traffic and site options and the addition layout was well received. The residents did state that their concerns regarding the stormwater issues again, and we assured them that they are being investigated thoroughly so they can be addressed accordingly. And we have a future good neighbor meeting scheduled for May 6th. And we've got the community meetings, which one's coming up this next Monday, April 19th. And again on May 4th, which is the combo meeting with the Rogers High School. And then for the groundwater investigation, that's still ongoing. Bean and Studio Jade have identified some corrective actions for the stormwater, which would be really two things: diversion and capacity of the retention system. So this is a real simple explanation of it. The diversion can be handled with some berming of the site in specific areas. Again, this design is not finalized. We're still working through it, but these are the goals and the corrective actions that we've identified to date. So that berming would be for diversion, and then some more inlets that will help with the capacity of the retention system. So that's our update on the projects. I'd like to open up for any questions. Get this off the screen so I can see who's here.
Are there any? Ms. Winslow, go right ahead.
I was wondering if Mr. Lentini could just tell us what the role of a commissioning agent is.
Yes. So the commissioning agent is someone who's hired directly by the owner. It's not under our design builder or construction manager. And they're tasked with reviewing the design documents prior to construction for the MEP systems, which is the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems, as well as for Rogers, they'll be tasked with the building envelope. And they're going to ensure that through the construction, those systems are installed as designed, they work properly, and that they've been balanced to work efficiently, which is very important when it comes to a high performance building or a net zero, that energy efficiency type of goal. And then again, for post occupancy, they will also come back, I think it's 8 to 10 months after, per the NE CHIPS requirement, and they will review the data that's been tracked for those 8 to 10 months from the BMS system, the building monitoring, and just to confirm that it's all working properly, and if any corrective action needs to be done to, fix something that's not working properly, and make sure it's working efficiently as well.
Thank you. Any other questions for Kyle? Comments, concerns? Not seeing any. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else, Ms. Boatwright, to add? Are you all set?
Yeah, I think that things are going fast and furiously on the team. Kyle and Mr. Lentini and Mr. DeSanti have been doing a great job leading us through all these things, and it's going to be going pretty quickly with the dates coming up. So we wanted to make sure as many people as Mr. Lentini said can attend the community meetings on the school committee and in the community to get their voices heard. So please spread the word, okay?
All righty, thank you. Any questions, anybody, before we move on? If not, that's what we'll do. We'll move on.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen, for being with us tonight. Take care, Joe and Kyle.
It's exciting, right? It's very exciting. Though. I want you to know.
Sticking around for the invoice approval.
Okay.
It's a little bit longer.
You can stick around as long as you want. Like I always say, it's up to you. 6.2 is a Thompson Middle School principal update. And I'm not sure, I know we have some information there. I'm not sure, is Ms. Winslow going to share that, or Superintendent Jermaine? I don't know who, or Mr. McAndrews. I'm not sure who is.
I'm happy to share. Yep, I think I already did go over it. I agree with Ms. Winslow. There is backup that gives the specific dates as stated. This week's the focus group. Next week, then we'll collect that. We'll have a screening committee. Screening committee will have scorecards, etc., based upon what they hear. from the focus groups. That's what they'll be looking for when they go through the applications. Then we'll have the interview. Again, we'll have scorecards there, and once that round of interviews is over, we'll have a final round of interviews, and hopefully by the end of May, we'll have good news.
Perfect. Ms. Winslow, did you have some?
I just had a comment because I wanted to say thank you. I think that we had talked maybe, oh, should we bring on a hiring consultant or a search firm or something? But when I saw this contract with NESDEC, I really thought it kind of represented the best of all methods. I really like that they're community focused. We're gonna, get the teachers' feedback, get parent feedback, get community member feedback, and work as a team to review those resumes and try to do, similar to the school building committee, just sort of a blind process and try to, search out the best candidate. So I'm looking forward to it, and I think it's a good plan. And I wanted to thank the superintendent and Ms. McAndrews for this.
Our HR director's been very busy.
Great, thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you.
I know some of it's redundant. Mr. Drink, go right ahead.
And how many applicants have we had so far? Is that something you can tell us?
Good evening, everybody. We've had 34 applicants. We did have 4 people withdraw, and so we have 30. And I did touch base with them this weekend just to make sure everybody was still engaged, and everybody responded, and they're still interested and excited about the process.
And were any of them in-house?
We have 1 in-house applicant.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, comments? I am not seeing any, so okay, we'll move along. Thank you all. Thank you, Ms. McAndrews.
You're welcome.
That next item is next item 6.3. It's school improvement teams. Based on some discussion with school committee members, we asked for an update on the school improvement teams and their activity. I don't know who, Dr. Jermaine, if you want to give us an overview of that, or?
Sure, I'll start. And I know Mr. Vance is here. I believe Dr. Bean's here.
Okay.
And Pell did submit something as well. Ms. Westman, Principal Westman is not available at this time. Yes, the schools have been engaged with their school improvement teams. Some have been a little bit more successful than others as far as getting parent involvement. But everyone is aware of the importance of the membership there, especially where we're making decisions on budget, staffing, and so on. So it's very critical that we have school improvement teams in place. I'm going to start with Mr. Vance, and we'll go from there to Thompson, and then Pell. I can read the backup to Pell. I do not believe anyone from Pell is with us at the moment. Okay.
Yeah. So we have a pretty consistent team that meets every month. We've been doing this for over a year now, meeting. One of our major kind of overarching concern over this last year going into December for next school year is our NEASC visit. So a lot of our work has been around preparing for the NEASC visit. And so in the outset, I had a handful of parents that were involved. But then as we moved forward into more of that academic work, it wasn't something that the parents that we had on board felt like they had a lot to offer to the committee. So they haven't necessarily been participating at the same level. So that is definitely something that we need to do a little more outreach on, to either garner support from those parents that were originally on, or maybe look for some additional folks to join our team. But we know that, and we're trying to work on that. But it's pretty productive work right now with the things that we're putting into place, and how we're looking at our curriculum, and how we're looking at our climate and culture, and a lot of the work that the DRC is doing is supported through the school improvement team as well. So it's a pretty solid team. We just need to make sure that we keep trying to garner that community representation.
Mr. Vance, I'm just going to ask you, I know what they are, but the DRC team represents what for the public that may be listening?
So the DRC is the Diversity and Relevance Committee, and so it's a student-run organization that adults help facilitate, and its design is to look at changing the narrative for our Black and Brown students at Rogers High School.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Vance before we move on to the middle school from school committee members? Ms. Boatright, go right ahead.
Since you just said all that, because you're taking into your plan sort of the diversity and relevance group, are they also on the school improvement, or there's no students on there? I guess that's my question.
There aren't. I honestly think as the work that the DRC is doing, and Colleen knows one of our goals is to really have a streamlined student government in the future, where student council kind of is the overarching board, and then we have branches off, and the DRC is a part of it and whatnot. But what I'm hoping through the work that they're doing and our student council, we'll be able to pull some kids to be a part of the school improvement team, so that we have that student voice on that committee as well.
Right. That was I was kind of hoping you inferred that, and I don't think they've ever been really even thought to be on it, but it seems like it would be, particularly at the high school, a very good idea to do.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's one of our kind of our goals that is undocumented, is to increase the opportunity for student voice across the board.
Right. So is that something that can just be done to add some student spots onto the improvement committee? Or does that need?
We could. Honestly, I like to have those things kind of happen organically. So through conversation with kids on the student council or our class officers of the DRC, to see who would be interested versus just placing people on the team. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah. Right.
I think they're much more of a valued part of the team if they're really interested in being there versus being, placed.
Totally agree. And they're welcomed both ways.
Totally.
Yeah.
Dr. Flowers, go right ahead.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, off the top of my head, you don't have many parents who are not teachers who are on that. And I'm just wondering if perhaps if you could pair up, say, some of the parents and their own children who you think would be more outgoing, more willing to enter into discussion on the school improvement team, that, mom or dad and the young person, maybe that would be a way to get a family input. And then sometimes some young people might be a little, I don't want to say intimidated. I don't think some of them probably aren't at all, but they might feel a little bit uncomfortable. And by the same token, if you can get some of the kids even to have their parents with them, that'll get more of the parent population, which you see that number usually wanes as they get into the upper grades. You know that.
Oh, totally.
The elementary, that's what all the parents want to come in. And as the kids get firmly ensconced in the school system, they figure, well, it's not that the interest is there, but maybe they don't feel the opportunities are present. This might be an idea that you could try something like that.
No, I think that's a great approach. I'd be interested to see how some of our kids would feel about that. But I definitely think it'd be an interesting approach to be able to get a parent and a student together on the committee. We'll definitely look at that. But I think you're right. As kids go through their school career, like the opportunities, dwindle. But then, from my experience as a middle school principal, what I always heard is that parents didn't feel like their kids wanted them there. And so then they started to kind of take that step back. Yeah. And that's not necessarily true.
No, they might say it, but when you're going to have some function, they're looking to see is someone from the family coming in. So
definitely.
Yeah. Just a thought.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other? Yeah, Ms. Winslow, go right ahead.
I was gonna say this comment for the end, but since we're sort of on the topic, I'll throw it in, and then maybe Thompson has news and Pell has different news. But I think a big part, as I read through the policy on the school improvement teams and the Rhode Island law, a big part of this is ensuring that the team represents the students and the families in our district, you know, identity, socioeconomic identity, race, ethnicity, everything. So I didn't see in the backup what the plans are to ensure that. You know, I don't need to see a list of how people identify, but you said it, Mr. Vance, you're having a hard time keeping the parents engaged. And I know this is tough to get people to the table, but if we don't have everyone at the table, our solution won't be for everybody. So I just want to make the comment and hear your thoughts now if you have them, but make the comment that I would really like to see a plan for getting a good representation of parents, student, community on the school improvement teams.
I agree. I totally agree. So I know this isn't the school improvement team specifically, but our diversity and relevance committee has been broken into little ad hoc groups, and representation is one of those groups. And so how do we build representation of our diverse community on our school, our school improvement team, on our student government representation, our teaching staff? Like, how do we continue to ensure that we are representing the full community? And that is a piece of the work that group has decided to try and tackle. So not that it answers your question specifically, but know that is something that we are continually talking about right now.
We're actually charged with checking that. I think the school committee is supposed to check that in the policy. We're supposed to, if you didn't do it, we're supposed to say you need to fix it. So
am I being checked right now?
No.
I think you are.
But I'm like,
That's what it feels like.
no, I'm saying, okay, I'm reading it and I'm like, I know this is a brand new idea this past year through RIDE. And so, but I think, we should take it super seriously.
I agree completely.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments before we move on to Thompson? Alrighty. Thank you, Mr. Vance, for being here, answering our questions. So thanks. So I guess I'll move on, and I know Dr. Bean is here with us, so it's all yours, Dr. Bean.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. When I came over to Thompson, they had just started to generate some ideas on what they wanted their focus to be around a school improvement team. And so from there, I met with a variety of different leaders at Thompson and the PTO, and we came up with the big focus this year with the school improvement team was around climate and culture, and bringing together probably about 4 different subgroups that had been working in isolation of each other to form one team now known as the Climate and Culture School Improvement Team. One of the things that Jared mentioned, and he and I had spoke today about his diversity relevance group, is that, trying to bring people together authentically really lends to the best type of grouping. So what we've been doing at Thompson in terms of getting student voice and parent voice as part of the school improvement work, because the timing just never seemed to work right for families initially as we started to form this group. And to be honest with you, I definitely needed some time with being, coming over to Thompson this year and being the principal there to get to know the group. But we've been using the advisory time to get student voice to bring back to the school improvement team, and then sharing some of the work that we've been doing, and including parents at the PTO to help us pull off some of the climate and culture action steps. So that's how we've been trying to make sure that we're including both a variety of different groups. We have just recently, though, solicited formally several parents and community members to join the team as the team continues to move forward. So there are parents and community partners that are part of the team, but so that's where the Thompson School Improvement Team is right now. We have about 24 staff members that are on the team, but 14 that come consistently. We meet once a month. We have minutes. We share the minutes at our monthly faculty meeting so that they're aware of where the team is at in their action steps. So that's a little bit about Thompson's team right now.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Dr. Bean and the TMS School Improvement Team info? No?
Lucky me, Jared.
Yeah. Probably similar. See what you did? Now you got questions. So Miss Winslow, go right ahead.
No, you had said something earlier, Dr. Bean, about like it didn't work for the families. Were you talking about meeting times, things like that? Like you.
Right. I know Tracy and I have worked for years together trying to figure out how we can make this work. We used to have our school improvement team right before our PTO meeting. We would have signups on that first PTO meeting of the beginning of the year, because typically that first PTO meeting is when you get a lot of families. We've been, I know Tracy works with Rebecca Gomez. I've been working with our translator at Thompson to outreach to families that, may be interested in being part of the team. But, to be honest with you, the work we've been doing, because our staff, their planning period is at the end of the school day. So, this school improvement team is meeting, they're using their planning period to meet virtually. So that's what time our school improvement team meets. The PTO meets once a month at 5:30, and then our advisories are at 8:30. So, we're trying to include as many people, but the times don't always work. If you have a school improvement team at 5:30, then a lot of times it's hard to get the teachers to come. And when you're rolling up your sleeves to do curriculum goals, you need the voices of your curriculum leads. So, it's a balancing act on, when's the best time to have, the meetings so that people can attend. One of the things that, might be interesting in the different focus groups and the screeners of the applications, and then the interview team is seeing people that are part of those subgroups, if they're interested moving forward next year, being part of the school improvement team. Might be a nice way for the new principal to kick off the new year, as a suggestion. I'll be happy to hand it over.
I wonder I don't know if this is legal or not, but Mr. Vance touched on it. I mean, and then Dr. Biana as well, like, can your school improvement team be split into certain groups, so that, your teachers meet at a certain time, your parents meet at a certain time, but then you come together, you compare notes with a lead from each group.
Yeah, I think, one of the things that we've done in the past is, once you get your solid goals together, that you do break up into subgroups, and, just make sure that you have, some strong people leading those subgroups so that the work can get done, so that when you bring it back to the bigger group, you've got some good momentum. So, that's another way to do it, for sure.
But it is really important, though, to get everybody back together at the table to have those conversations. Because
Right.
even in those small groups, if they're not kind of pinging those ideas off of each other, you don't have that productive conversation about what next steps should happen.
Because we even do that within our own school improvement team. You know, we'll have, you know, some major projects going on, and we'll break up into small ad hoc groups, and we'll go off and say, we're, you know, next month let's meet back and report on, you know, what we've accomplished and where we're at, and get ready to share with the bigger faculty. And, you know, it's a work in progress. So
I'm just gonna, can I ask a question?
I don't know, I'm gonna flip a coin. No, go right ahead, Ms.
Thank you.
Boatright.
Question whether this distance, you know, virtual Zooming and Google Meets has been of benefit for this kind of activity, because I have seen it in other environments where it is allowing some people who could never get involved before to get involved. And so I was just wondering if that has been, if you really tried to leverage that, and even going forward into the future to do that.
Yeah.
I think just for meeting in general, not even just for the school improvement team work, the ability to meet virtually has allowed more people at the table, definitely.
Right. Yeah.
You know, when I think about kids getting together, it's so much easier for the class officers to meet, for the student council to meet, for, you know, myself and the advisors to meet with the student council. So, and then same thing with bringing in people from the outside. It is one of the benefits of what we've gone through over the last, you know, year plus, is figuring out how to navigate this digital world. It has helped in those places. I think as we roll into the school year, people are going to want to start to meet more face to face, but I definitely don't think we should necessarily move away from this model, because it does allow for more people to be at the table.
Right, right. So I hope we figure out how, thank you, that to really leverage that. It's that hybrid in the same room kind of thing for some of these meetings that we're going to have to figure that out. Thank you.
Alrighty, any other questions for Dr. Bean? If not, we'll move on. Dr. Jermaine I think's gonna do the Pell.
Right. So for the Pell, and I think you heard it at the beginning of the conversation, as Mr. Vance noted, that as children go through their school career, parents are all there at the elementary level, and then as they start to rise through the grades, there's sometimes either the middle school child doesn't want them at the school, or there's less participation. But you will notice that the Pell team does have 18 members on its SIT team. It has members of the community. It does NF Cozy, Rebecca Gomez, Christina Ruth, Mark McKenna participate. And then they have Mike Newsom, who's a staff member and also works for one of our agencies, Taylor Frazier. And then they have a group of parents, as noted in the backup, along with parents that have been former school committee members, or they're business people throughout the community, as well as they are teachers within the district, as well as being parents. So they have about 18 on their group, and then their staff SIT team members. What Principal Westman has done there is she's actually broken into working groups of technology, climate and culture, safety, early childhood, and social emotional learning. And she has distributed the leadership in the sense of she's appointed a point person, or one of her administrators are one of the leads on this. And underneath that, the entire staff is involved in the work. And she has approximately 18 teachers on each of these subgroups. And she has I'll call it a captain, a point person of each one. They meet once a month as well. And they have notes to their meetings. What I'll do is try to get the notes to all of you on the work they are doing. But that is how Pell put their school improvement team together and what they have done. So the administration, parent, community, SIT team member board is kind of the overarching that the people, the teachers bring the work to, and then they share out what's going on in climate and culture, technology, safety, early childhood, and SEL. And that's all I can report out on.
Okay. Any questions for anybody as we wrap up the discussion on the school improvement teams? Comments, questions, concerns? Ms. Winslow.
I want to make a general comment that you know, this is a tall order, these school improvement teams, but I think it would be really interesting to hear the recommendations and the ideas that come out of them. Even, you know, if the superintendent could include that in a report monthly or bi-monthly or whenever some good recommendations come out, and just to keep us informed of how we're doing better, whatever's manageable in that sense. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll talk to the team. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments from school committee members? Not seeing any. Well, thank you, Mr. Vance, Dr. Bean, and Tracy for preparing those reports for us and being here tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care. Thank you. That gets us through discussion items. Into 7, which is our consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? Dr. Flowers, seconded by Ms. Winslow. Do we have any questions on the consent agenda? Any questions from that? I don't think I see any. So Ms. Nash, could you do a roll call vote to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Mr. Gomes?
Aye.
Ms. Boatright?
Aye.
Mr. Drain?
Aye.
Dr. Flowers? Dr. Flowers?
All right. Aye.
Thank you. Ms. Winslow?
Aye.
Thank you. 5-0.
Fantastic. So that gets us through the consent agenda. On to correspondence. The correspondence, take care. I think Kyle and Joe are signing out. So thank you guys for being here. Number 8 is our correspondence, monthly correspondence. We have several correspondence, finance subcommittee meeting notes, school building committee notes, and a letter from Mr. Vance detailing the senior activities this year. Is there a motion to accept the correspondence as presented this evening? I see Ms. Winslow, seconded by Ms. Boatright. Any questions or discussion on the correspondence? I don't see any, so Mr. Nash, roll call vote, please, to accept the correspondence as presented.
Mr. Gomes?
Aye.
Ms. Boatright?
Aye.
Mr. Drain?
Aye.
Dr. Flowers?
Aye.
Ms. Winslow?
Aye.
Thank you. 5-0.
Alrighty, that moves us into section 9 on our agenda, reports from superintendent and staff. 9.1, 9.2, our first 2 revenue reports in our school restricted grants. And I'll have Mr. Gonzalez give us an overview and take any questions that anybody might have on 9.1 or 9.2.
Good evening again, school committee members. Are there any questions that you have?
Ms. Winslow, go right ahead. I see then Ms. Boatright.
I think the backup here was provided right when the ESSER funds were just announced. So I just didn't know. I just wanted you to tell us what the latest was on, you know, how that money might be, if it has changed from the backup.
No, it has not changed just yet. The latest update as of the end of last week is that RIDE's finance team has asked their program writer to develop the grant for the ESSER 2, and that hasn't yet been provided to us. I anticipate it might be available by the end of this week. So as soon as that information is shared with me, like I said in my memo, I will share out. And I anticipate it's likely to be at least another month for the ESSER 3 component. More information for that one.
All set, Ms. Winslow? Any other questions? Yep. Okay, Ms. Boatright.
I was just going to say the same, to give sort of a timeline on when we will know what, because I knew that we didn't know it, on just knowing how that could be paid down, but it's not there yet. So thank you, Miss Winslow.
No problem. Any other questions? Go, Ms. Winslow. Go right ahead.
Oh, I'm just saying it's like Jeopardy, you know, who raises their hand.
Right, right.
More like Hollywood Squares.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
You're aging yourself.
But I know what it is.
Yeah.
That was going to be my question.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments for Mr. Gonzalez on the revenue, expenditure, and restricted grants? I don't believe so, so thank you. We'll move on. Next is 9.3 is enrollment demographics and homeless reports. Superintendent usually handles that. Any specific questions, or if Dr. Jermaine has an overview on that?
Are there any questions? There aren't any highlights or updates on that yet.
Next is facility updates. I know Mr. Young's with us. His report is there. Are there any questions for Mr. Vance on his report? I'm sorry, Mr. Vance, Mr. Young on his report.
Well,
Go, Miss Boatright, go right ahead.
we just approved I think it was the windows. So it appears like that was all done, correct?
No, it's not complete yet. So we're working with them and trying to make sure we get this done right. So it's the last time we do this. So we actually went back and found out that this isn't the first time that we've done this with these windows. So it's a tough build in the first place. So things we need to think about is the design, because you have to reach over the shelf to bring them up. So they're really not designed to be open and closed daily like we are doing now, for COVID, when we put the fans in and then close them at night. So we ordered another set of mechanics that we're going to get in hopefully Friday. I'm going to try that set in one of the windows to see if that makes it smoother and easier. And then from there, we'll decide which set we go with. And if that's the one we're going to go, it's about 10 days to finish the project. But we're really just kind of going through deep and making sure that this is the last time that we have to do these windows at Thompson. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
One thing that's not on here that came up after, if you guys remember, so we did have a boiler issue at Rogers where it came down late at night where we had to shut it down and we had to cancel school the next day. So that was a transistor piece. So it was like, an electronic piece for that. So Eagle Design couldn't get it done. We had to call a second company and they came in and did it. But one thing to think about is, we all have to hold our breath for the next 3.5, 4 years, because there are some parts on that will be extremely difficult to replace. Some of the electronic, the transistor pieces on that boiler will be very difficult to replace. What I mean by that is, like, we're not going to be able to go to like a Home Depot or a local place to find that. So because they don't make them anymore. So we'll have to really dig deep and look at eBay and some of these other places to find some, some parts for that. So we're going to have to really focus on our maintenance plan to make sure that we're checking that beforehand, doing our routine maintenance to make sure that that stuff is up and running. And another piece that came in after is we had a pipe leak in the NACTEC building where we had to actually shut down the water, for the morning. It was But once the plumber came in and blocked it off and patched it up, and it was all set. But so we had a couple of maintenance pieces going on since we last submitted this form to you.
Very good. Any questions or comments from the school committee? Not seeing any, so thank you, Mr. Young, for being here and giving us that update. Next report is distance learning, in-person learning. I think we had a good discussion on that this evening, except the superintendent's report. So I think we've got the gist on the distance learning and in-person learning. District goals for 2020, 2021. Are there any questions for the superintendent on that report? And lastly, the superintendent's update, partnerships, collaborations, and personnel. Any questions for the superintendent on that report? All right, a motion would be in order to accept the reports from superintendent and staff as presented. I see Dr. Flowers, seconded by Ms. Winslow. And seeing no other discussion or comments, Ms. Nash could do a roll call vote to accept the reports from superintendent and staff as presented.
Mr. Gomes?
Aye.
Ms. Boatright?
Aye.
Mr. Dring?
Aye.
Dr. Flowers?
Aye.
Ms. Winslow? Thank you. 5-0.
Great. That leads us into, thank you all for that. Next item, suggested meeting dates and agenda items. Next school committee meeting is May 11th. There's many things happening in April. I'm going to catch up here, some pre-April 12th, 13th. So April 19th, there's a community meeting for Pell Elementary School as discussed earlier. School building committee is on Monday, April 26th. And I know we discussed many upcoming dates for things, meetings and such for the Thompson Middle School principal. So those are the meeting dates and agenda items as of now. Also not on there, I know we have a budget presentation to the city council on the 15th, so Thursday night. So
This Thursday, yeah.
yes, so that's not on there as well. But already, Dr. Flowers, do you have a question?
Yeah, no, a policy, the sub meetings like every Wednesday, and then we're going to be having tomorrow the full policy committee. We're continuing to work on the 4,000, the HR policies, bring them up to date. So, and I have to thank Director McAndrews. I mean, does she ever sleep? I mean, I think some of us probably would want to fall asleep looking at some of this, but it's just, fine tuning a lot of these. And that's just one section of the policy manual. We're going through and we're bringing things up to date. So that group is meeting on a regular basis.
Great, thank you for that. Any other questions, comments on the meeting dates and agenda items, Ms. Winslow?
I can add that the Health and Wellness Committee is starting back up. I think we're gonna have I know that Mrs. Nash reached out to the members who were on the committee before COVID sort of paused things, and Ms. Bolin is the chair, and she's trying to bring it all back together, and we're gonna meet at 4 o'clock on Thursday, this Thursday the 15th. That's just to, I think, set our schedule going forward. So
that's correct.
Anyone's listening and is interested, there's the agenda is posted and it's a Zoom meeting.
Alrighty, that is great news. We're slowly clawing our way back to normal here. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Not seeing any. That gets us, believe it or not, there's no executive session. So that gets us to motion to adjourn would be in order. Ms. Boatright, seconded by Ms. Winslow. Simple voice vote. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. So the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for being here this evening, and enjoy the rest of the night.
Thank you.
Sunset,
Bye-bye.
sunset looks like it's going to be nice out there, so get out and see it.
All right.